Welcome, it's denome, and in this market update we're going to take a look at the price of Bitcoin in the short term and medium term, and we're going to also look at under the hood of Bitcoin basically to determine the real value of Bitcoin at the moment and where the fundamentals basically point towards as well. And we're also going to take a look at the global liquidity because there's an interesting development there that actually might indicate that there may be a bigger crash coming also to the market. So we're going to take a look at those things, but first let's actually just take a look at Bitcoin on its own, the price chart here. So first let's take a look at this long-term trend line here. We are below it, so this is still the bear zone and I am expecting lower prices. And when we go to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we had this formation here, but we actually fell below that formation as well, which kind of indicates that we might go lower. So my first buy zone is 57k Bitcoin, and that might be a little bit hopeful that we reach that low, but I'm actually hoping for even lower Bitcoin prices because fundamentally in the long term Bitcoin looks very, very good in my opinion. But 57k is the first one where I will be buying back Bitcoin, and if I'm completely wrong, the next time I will be buying Bitcoin is probably going to be either the all-time high here or when we are on the daily chart and we are basically above this trend line once again on the RSI. So those are my two scenarios currently where I will be buying back Bitcoin in case I am wrong on the drop here. So I will be starting buying Bitcoin incrementally after 57k all the way down to about 49k, and the 38k here, that's going to be my all-in buy zone because this is when the ETFs were launched. So I know there's going to be a lot of institutional interest, so I don't think Bitcoin will go below 38k. So that's going to be my all-in buy zone for Bitcoin. So basically, if you have been following me, nothing too crazy or interesting in the charts, basically just confirmation that we're probably going to be headed lower. There's a sliver of hope, and this is another case where I could be wrong, because if we draw a trend line from here and here, you can see that we're just right above this trend line. So we could expect a bounce from here if you follow this trend line, but yeah, it's hard to say if that's true or not. It could be very well true, and then I'm just losing money there if we go higher there. But anyway, that's the scenarios that I wanted to show you in this. But now let's take a look at the global liquidity. So this is the charts of the M2 money supply of different currencies. So this is the M2 money supply of China, of US, Euro, Japan, Great Britain, and a bunch of other currencies as well. So when we take a look at this chart, you can see that over time, obviously, the global liquidity tends to increase. And we have been since basically 2022 in this formation here in global liquidity where we've just basically gone sideways. And right now, when we take a look at the global liquidity, you can see we are at the bottom here of this channel. So we should see this rise very, very soon. Unless if that doesn't happen, then we are basically expecting a bigger crash in the markets as well. So that's an interesting thing to actually look at. But when I talk about the markets in the broader term, I'm actually not too bearish on the markets or stocks for the very reason that the inflation numbers will be going down very rapidly in the next year or so. And I intend to actually publish a video about this topic, basically the CPI and why it doesn't scare me at all. I know it's gonna go down. So I will be releasing that video in about 1 day or so. So anyway, that's just the situation with global liquidity, and I think this is very interesting. When the liquidity is rising, that's very good for Bitcoin, obviously, because that's when people want to take risks. So there's that. But when we just take a look at what the funds have been doing, you can see a lot of selling is still continuing to come with the ETFs, but you can see that this selling has actually slowed down quite a bit already. So maybe we will see funds actually buying Bitcoin once again quite soon. Overall, when we take a look at the Google Trends and we search the term for Bitcoin, you can see that for this bull run, It peaked here at, what is this number? 30, I don't know. Okay, 41. And now we're looking at a number 19 for June of 2024. And 19 is comparable to the absolute very bottom of the bear market. So normal people just completely have seemed to lost interest in Bitcoin. 15 was the absolute low here in September 2023. But all in all, we're basically at the bear zone levels in Bitcoin interest, which is quite interesting in my opinion. But all in all, this is the situation here with Google Trends at least. And now when we take a look at the on-chain stuff, we take a look at the amount of stablecoins here. So this was an interesting chart as well, because we can take a look at the total amount of stablecoins in the market, and you can see we went from $120 billion in stablecoins to about $150 billion in stablecoins for 2 months ago, and then we leveled off. But right now, just in the last, let's say 2 weeks, we've seen an increase of $1 billion, and this kind of breaks the trend. So let me actually zoom in so you can see it more clearly, the shift in the trend. So here, this is the trend before, and just 2 weeks ago, it's basically June 11th, you can see a lot more steepening of the increase in stablecoins. So there's a shift at the moment, and the more stablecoins they are running on blockchain, it means that people want to actually park their fiat in the blockchain as well. So it's very nice that we are seeing a new all-time high for the amount of stablecoins in the market. So at least some positive aspects in potential global liquidity, whatever, like a foreshadowing of increasing global liquidity. But let's see. And I think that at least that's interesting. Nothing too interesting in the Bitcoin supply distribution, other than retail investors seem to actually have stopped their selling here. As well as when we take a look at the Bitcoin miners, here this is the supply held by Bitcoin miners, where they started rapidly to sell Bitcoin. They had 2 million Bitcoin, all of these Bitcoin miners, in February 27th, and since then they have been selling off their Bitcoin supply. And right now we might be looking at a potential bottom here. I thought this might go to 1.7 million, but at least as of now the trend seems to at least take a pause for now. So this is quite nice when you see Bitcoin miners not selling Bitcoin, because usually that means that they expect higher prices and they rather accumulate Bitcoin, or there's at least an equilibrium with the price of Bitcoin and how much money they make from mining Bitcoin, if it stays flat. So that's at least nice. But one interesting thing here is when we take a look at the total amount of holders of Ethereum, this actually broke the trend to the downside here. So we are currently seeing a leveling of the total amounts of Ethereum holders. One interesting thing here, obviously, with Ethereum is that there are more than double the amount of wallets that have some amounts of Ethereum in them compared to Bitcoin, but that's mostly attributed to Ethereum being able to run smart contracts. So people have more wallets simply than with Bitcoin, and the protocols have wallets, and companies have wallets in Ethereum, and it's just a lot more usage in Ethereum. So it's not exactly meaning that it's more popular network compared to Bitcoin. But I think it's interesting that they've been able to grow, whereas Bitcoin, the amount of wallets have kind of, it's not increasing as rapidly as Ethereum, but now Ethereum, the total amount of holders of Ethereum has actually held it for 4 days now. It's nothing significant yet, but I think this is an interesting development here. Definitely breaking a trend that we've been established here. So all in all, when I take all of these things into consideration, I still think it's very nice if Bitcoin goes lower here. And that's when basically new money can come in, and then we can get new energy into Bitcoin as well when it starts to make those high gains over a period of days or even weeks. But for those high gains to happen, sometimes you need a breather in the price, and the price has to go down and then it starts picking up momentum, and with the momentum we can finally break the new all-time highs. When it just consolidates here, it's basically doesn't have a lot of energy. It's hard to push either way, to the up or to the down, so we have to basically see a move one way or the other, and then the money will be interested. But as of now, many people are just trading up and down, up and down, up and down, and the retail investors are just losing interest in Bitcoin and crypto, as you can see from the charts here. So yeah, I do expect some sort of a, let's say, like a panic sell moment, and people selling their Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin, or quite a bit of my Bitcoin here at about 66k, 65k, something like that. So I do expect lower, but I could again be completely wrong about this. But tomorrow's video is going to be a bullish video where I talk about the global liquidity even more, and why I do believe that stocks have very good things coming to them over the next 1 to 3 years. So look forward to that video, and if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.